All right, just left St. Augustine Inlet. There was a race offshore, bunch of boats. I don't know if you can see them uh, for race week. So wasn't involved, but I still got to see a lot of them offshore. So that was cool. But yeah, I'm heading to Charleston. I'm on a course. It's about 17 degrees. So it's 170 miles. I think hopefully I'll get there by Sunday. It's mostly a broad reach, downwind forecast for the wind, only around 12 knots, so kind of slow, but yeah, I think I have enough time to get there. If I don't, I'll stop in Savannah and stay there.
Hi.
All right, pulled up anchor and leaving St. Augustine. Goodbye, St. Augustine. It was fun for 2 weeks. Goodbye. It's hard to see, but I am approaching a row of container ships, 10 that I've counted. Most have passed me already. I think there's a few in the back here that I will have to worry about. I wish you could see the sky. It doesn't show up on the phone, but the stars are beautiful. Well, made it to Charleston, South Carolina from St. Augustine, passing Fort Sumter, around Savannah, or a little past it, maybe Beaufort. There was 10 container ships offshore. But besides that, not much traffic. It's good to be back. This will be home for a little while. So I'll move the boat to Savannah. So just trying to get back to my marina. I've been stuck at the Stono Creek. It's this narrow passageway in the creek, and the knots are incorrect in navionics. It's got to be at least 4.5 knots. I tried to approach it at peak. I was at 3,000 RPM, and I was at 0 knots over ground. So I'm just waiting for the current to decline so that I can get through and get to my marina. I thought I've been through it before at peak, but You know, I was able to get through like slowly, but making not progress. I'm completely slammed here, so I've been waiting outside. You can see the current here. This is like a knot or two past peak, and it still looks like the rapids. These boats are just like racing through if they're with the current. So I'm heading out of Charleston now. It's a few months that I've been there, and passing by some container ships on the way out, heading towards Savannah. This is what an engine sounds like if it has a very dirty Raycor fuel filter. The fuel lines actually weren't able to get enough fuel into the engine, and it wasn't able to fire up. Here you can see the path I took as I was exiting Charleston Harbor. Just got past the jetties here, and I started heading south towards Savannah. Didn't get too far, maybe a mile or so, and my engine failed. So I'll talk about that later. But so started sailing back into the harbor. I remember this was downwind sailing, very light winds. I was making maybe a knot of progress into the harbor here. It was a slack tide when I first got past these jetties. And then it turned into a low tide, so the current was pushing me out against me back out into the ocean. So you can see I literally was making forward progress, and then current overpowered the wind. I start getting pushed backwards. So I ultimately, before I went aground here, I threw an anchor down and waited for a tow. That took a few hours. I was dodging like these container ships that were coming by, and finally I got towed in. But that was a very interesting experience. I later fixed my engine once I was back in my slip, and then I tried again to get to Savannah. This time I was taking the ICW. I didn't want to, go offshore and then have to go into the Savannah River with a potentially bad engine, so I wanted to test it through the ICW. Sailing here in the Port Royal Sound, just outside of Hilton Head Island. This is a great sailing spot, a lot of open water, and you can pretty much go for miles in most directions. This is the route I took when I left Charleston the second time on my way to Savannah. So my first trip was going out the harbor into the Atlantic and had an engine failure. So I was still a little bit nervous about my engine, so I decided to take the ICW and a different kind of approach. So it was motoring, but I followed the ICW. So started with the Stono River, passing Johns Island, going south along the ICW, Edisto, kept going, it brought me through all of this marshland, very beautiful terrain, and I don't think it's often seen by most people. It was very secluded out there. I barely saw any boats. So past actually Beaufort, South Carolina, which was a great little sailing community, had great public docks, and went through Hilton Head Island, kept going south to Fusky, and then finally made my way up I believe it's called the Savannah River, into downtown Savannah, which is a place I stayed for only less than a day before I started and made my way back towards Hilton Head. Turns out Savannah, there's really a few marinas here, but it just takes too long to get out into the ocean. I was going to stay at Thunderbolt Marina for a while. That was my intention. But then having seen Hilton Head and the Port Royal Sound, I determined that was the place the boat should go after Charleston. And that's where it stayed for months. Pulling into Savannah. Savannah River is a big port for these large ships. The Georgia Queen here is it's a non-functioning but functioning paddle boat. It's modern powered now, but it definitely looks the part outside of River Street in downtown Savannah. And just behind it was a municipal dock that Rising Sun stayed at for just about half a day. Hey, beautiful. So many dolphins in the Port Royal Sound. It's a really cool sight to see. You can see them pretty much every single day, and that's what the sunset cruises that pull out of Stono Creek tell you about. Yeah, and the distance here with all the sailboats is the marina I stayed at. It was a safe harbor, Stono Creek. Great marina, and they always had docks and even some alligators too.